Welcome back everyone, it's Eric from Rare Candy, and today we have another recorded tournament series for you. This is going to be the top 8 round of a recent League Cup that I got to go attend at Cape Fear Games in Wilmington, North Carolina. So, like I said, this is going to be top 8. We also have a top 4 match and a finals match coming up as well. But for this one, this is going to be standard format, so that means cards all the way from Sun and Moon all the way up to Lost Thunder, of course, are going to be legal for play. And over on the left, we have Olski. He's going to be playing Zoroark, Decidueye, Ninetales, and on the right, we have Brian Lynch playing Alolan Exeggutor, but he also has kind of a thin set tile line in the deck as well. So it does look like he is getting to go first here, and just playing a Professor Kukui. So that's really not usually the turn 1 supporter you usually want to see. You normally prefer something like a Lily or something like that instead. But nevertheless, he actually is having what appears to be a pretty decent little start so far. He already has a Trico, a Ditto, and Execute down. And really on your first turn, you just want to find a bunch of basics. And so even though he isn't playing his ideal first turn supporter, he is still getting set up pretty much the way he wants to here. Now, I didn't get a good look at his hand, but the big question is, does he have a supporter for the next turn to find himself some more card? That's going to be the other thing I'm really thinking about here. Now, it looks like Brian is opting to get out this Oranguru, so that tells me he might not actually have any real methods of drawing cards here, which might be a little bit bad. Yeah, we can see he just has a bunch of energy in his hand here. So he's going to get down a Metal Energy on this Oranguru and just pass. But it looks like Alex, on the other hand, he is having a pretty good first turn here. He is opening with that Professor Elm's Lecture. That's definitely going to be the card he wants to see on his first turn every match with this deck. So he plays 3 different evolution lines, so he definitely wants to get out those basics very quickly. He is opting to get down, looks like 2 Zorua and a Rowlet here. So interesting, not opting to get an Alolan Vulpix. Typically you want at least one of each of these, but looks like he is opting to just sit on his hand. Maybe he's favoring just keeping the Zoruas instead of a Vulpix, just in maybe his hand isn't that great and he just wants to find ways to draw cards. That could be something he's considering here. So it looks like Brian's just going to get down Energy Attachment on this Oranguru, and just a pass. So that is definitely not his ideal first turn here. I am a little... Yeah, I guess he's just opting to try to attack with this Oranguru at some point. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world anyways, just because even if Oranguru gets knocked out, it puts energy in the discard pile, which will help his Exeggutors do more damage. But it looks like Alex, he's going to be going for an Ultra Ball here. Looks like he might be eyeing himself down a Zoroark GX. That's what it appears he is looking at there. So let's see what route he's going to go. Okay, he looks like he is opting to get out a Vulpix. Or it looks like he's kind of debating. He's a little bit torn, it appears. So let's see which he ultimately decides on. So I did not get a good look at his hands. It's hard to say which way he's going to go. But here he is going to go for the Zoroark GX. Probably opting to go for the Zoroark just because, of course, it has that amazing trade ability. You know, discard a card from your hand, draw 2 cards. So that's going to help him find, you know, the pieces he needs to, you know, keep his turn going. So here's going to trade away a Max Potion. Definitely not a card he probably wants to get rid of in this matchup, since Exeggutor is capped at 150 damage with Choice Band. So it's usually not what you want to see, but here it looks like he's going to go for actually another Professor Elm's Lecture here. So getting some more basic Pokemon out of his deck. Looks like he's going for a Ditto and a Rowlet. Interesting. Kind of surprised he's not grabbing a 3rd basic, because Elm will let you grab 3 Pokemon under 60 HP. And even if he can't put all of them down, he can still just trade them away and draw cards off of them. So now he has an extra Pokemon just kind of polluting his deck and clunking it up. So I definitely think that might have been a subtle little misplay from Alex, not at least keeping a 3rd basic in your hand. So it looks like Brian is getting down another energy on this Oranguru. He's going to instruct. Let's see if we can find something to start making something happen. And this is so bad. Just another pass. So Brian just not having the greatest of starts. Luckily, Alex hasn't been putting on too much pressure of his own. I would imagine this would be the turn. He's going to start making some stuff happen. You can see he just evolved into Alolan Ninetales GX. I do apologize about the glare on it, but it is going to be the new one from Lost Thunder. Gets to search his deck for 2 item cards, put them into his hand. So this is nice because he can, more easily search out rare candies and things like that to get out his Decidueyes. Looks like he grabbed himself a Choice Band. Probably just going to Ultra Ball that away or trade it away if I had to guess. Interesting. He's going to trade away the Rainbow Energy instead. Huh. And discarding a double card, yeah, I have to say I'm really not a big fan of this. Brian's deck is primarily just a GX deck. I think he runs a single copy of Sceptile GX, but yeah, this is most definitely an all GX deck. I can't see wanting to get rid of 2 energies over a Choice Band, so I definitely think that might have been a little bit of a suboptimal choice on Alex's part. But nevertheless, he is finding some pieces that he needs to get set up, so he's going to get 2 damage counters on that Ditto with this Decidueye GX. So the one thing that is unfortunate, Ditto has 40 HP, and if Brian can't find a way to evolve this thing, it's going to be in some trouble. It's going to be an easy prize here. So let's see. He does find himself a Shrine of Punishment, so unfortunately he did not get a Pokemon off of that Instruct, but nevertheless, Shrine of Punishment is pretty good here. That's going to allow him to get 1 damage counter down on GXs in between every turn. So softening, some of these GXs up to maybe clean up with his Exeggutor at some point. So let's see how Alex is going to respond. Oh, he has the one of Field Blower in his hand. So definitely not good for Brian there. You see Alex is going to finally trade away that Choice Band. Getting down another double Colorless Energy. And an additional Choice Band. And then just going to go for a Cynthia. So I like that. Getting down the Choice Band. Just thinning out of the deck. Make sure you don't draw back into it. So here, we'll have to see what he's going to be looking for. Ideally, he wants to find himself another basic Pokemon. That way he doesn't have to use his Feather Arrow on this Oranguru. He would definitely prefer to use that on this Ditto and get an additional knockout for the turn. Okay, so he does find himself another Zorua. That is good. Going to put 2 damage counters on that Ditto, taking a knockout with that Feather Arrow ability, and then taking a knockout with the Riotous Beating on this Oranguru. So definitely a really strong turn from Alex here. Definitely finding all the pieces he needs to kind of stay in this game. So let's see what Brian can finally do. I know he's had a bit of a slow start thus far. The good news is he does have energy in the discard pile now. Alolan Exeggutor, if you're not familiar with it, there's 20 plus 20 more for every different basic energy in your discard pile, but you can only add 100 damage in this way. So right now he's going to be hitting for, I believe that's going to be 80. So if he can find himself another energy in the discard pile, maybe a Choice Band, that might be good at softening up this Zoroark. But here he does bench Shuckle. That is definitely going to help him get there. It's a new card that we got in Lost Thunder. Whenever you bench it from your hand, you can search your deck for up to 3 basic energies and discard them. So let's see what he's going to opt to get rid of here. Definitely the Psychic Energy, and it looks like the Grass Energy as well. Okay, so I guess he must not have any of his other energies in the deck. Or maybe they're in hand, it's hard to say. But anyways, this is going to help him hit for that 120 damage amount. So that's going to ensure he can 2-shot these Zoroarks no matter what, basically. Here we're going to see an Instruct just for a few more cards. So Brian's starting to stabilize a little bit here, and he finds himself a Cynthia. I'm sure he's going to be excited about that. So he's definitely going to be looking for maybe Grovyle. That could actually be really good for him because Grovyle can search out grass Pokemon with that Sunshine Grace ability. So that could find himself another Execute, and of course, in turn, other evolutions and basics throughout the rest of the game as well. So let's see, I believe I do see an Execute in Brian's hand. That's definitely going to be good in case this active Exeggutor gets knocked out. I believe we see a Net Ball as well. I think we see a Choice Band. Okay, but he is going to go for the Net Ball. Let's see, is he going to go for an Energy or just another basic Pokemon? That is the question here. So he could go for another Execute or just get a Grass Energy if he doesn't have one in hand for next turn. I didn't get a good look at his hand in general. If he doesn't have a supporter, he also would want to find something no matter what, just to thin a card out of his deck as well. So opting to just get another Execute, I think that's going to be fine here. There's not really too much else he wants in play anyways. The only thing I could think of is maybe a second Trico in case this other one gets knocked out, but even still, I don't think that's very pressing here. I think just getting out your eggs is going to be all you need here. So we are going to see, I believe it's Tropical Shake is the name of the attack. So just doing 120 damage to this Zoroark here. So let's see how Alex is going to respond. We are going to see an Ultra Ball from him, so maybe grabbing another Zoroark. Okay, that does appear that is what he is going to get. So now his deck is really going to start taking off. He can play a supporter for turn, and then he also still has 2 trades at his disposal. Now, I'm not sure if we've seen it yet, but if he has Acerola here, that could actually be really good. I'm pretty sure he plays 1 at least. So here we are going to see a Fairy Energy come down on Ninetales and then trade away this Decidueye. And there we go, we find that other rare candy, so now Alex has 2 Decidueyes online, which is usually what you want. So that allows him to put 4 damage counters in total on that active Exeggutor, then using Ride Speeding to take a knockout on it. So just enough. So here, you know, even though Alex is at 3 prizes, Brian is going to be able to hop back into this game this turn. He is going to be able to take a knockout on this Zoroark. So let's see, I believe he's using that Sunshine Grace ability on that Grovyle to search out another Exeggutor as well. You know, one thing that actually could potentially come into play at some point is Sceptile GX as well, now that Brian has access to this Grovyle. Sceptile is actually a really fantastic card against Zoroark decks because it has that Mock Cut attack, which discards special energy. Now, I'm not sure how many basic energies Alex plays, but I can't imagine it's more than 2 or maybe 3. So that is something Brian will have to kind of keep in mind as this game progresses as well. So here, let's see how Alex is going to respond. Of course, he does have the option to take a knockout on this Exeggutor. He just needs 1 more bench Pokemon in order to pull it off. But here he's going to discard Counter Gain, definitely not a card he's going to need at this point. And he's going to go for an Elm. Just, you know, a lot of times after turn 1, you don't see yourself playing cards like Elm very often. But really, this turn, all he needs is a basic. So instead of playing something like Cynthia or Lily or something like that, you know, why not just play the Elm, guarantee the Pokemon you need, and take a knockout on this Alolan Exeggutor. So, okay, interesting. So Brian is going to promote this Oranguru. So that tells me he must be thinking about going for a Guzma here, if that's the case. Because otherwise, it's really not a Pokemon you want to be in the active spot most of the time here. And I believe I do see a Guzma in his hand, actually. So here, Brian is going to use that Sunshine Grace ability, searching out into the Grovyle. Now, he just did get that Trico down, I believe, this turn, so he won't be able to evolve into it just yet. But at least it is a card he can thin out of his deck and ensure that he does not draw into. And I believe I do see a Guzma in Brian's hand, so we could see a knockout on maybe this Vulpix. Or, man, if Brian had a Shrine of Punishment, that would actually be fantastic. He could actually Guzma up this Lele and take a knockout on that. But unfortunately, he would be 10 short, and I think it's a little risky leaving a Lele with just 10 HP because we could always see Alex use something like an Acerola. So yeah, here he is going to go for the Vulpix. I do like this too because that's going to put him down at 2 prizes, and all of Alex's attackers are GXs. So all he has to do is find a way to knock out 1 more GX, and he's going to be able to win the game. So this actually proved to be a pretty close match despite Brian's kind of rough start that he had going on. So we're going to see another energy, basic energy, which is important to note, come down on this Alolan Ninetales as well. And here he is going to stretcher back that Vulpix. Really no danger of getting that back onto the field, just because it only gives it 1 prize. It's not really in any danger of being Guzman out. But here, it looks like Brian is going to promote Shuckle, so maybe that tells me he's going to go for another Guzma play this turn? Interesting. I'm not sure if he even has it in hand. So if that's the case, I'm really not sure. Okay, so here he is going to attach this energy here. So I'd imagine we'll have to just see a retreat into this Grovyle and start attacking with Sceptile. That's the only thing I can really think of here. So interesting he chose to promote the Shuckle at all. I don't see why Brian wouldn't have just promoted the Grovyle here. I think that might have been a little bit of a misplay. Maybe he was just hoping the top deck a Guzma or something. Hard to say. But at least the Shuckle does only have a 1 retreat cost. So Brian is going to refill his hand to 6. And let's see what else he can do. The only thing that is unfortunate, he loses to a Guzma at this point. He just basically has to hope that that Alex does not have that at his disposal. He does have a Shrine of Punishment in his hand. He is opting to not play that down, though, just because he does have a Sceptile in play. But here, Alex is going to... Oh, he has the Guzma, so he can just bring up the Shuckle, take a knockout with Alolan Ninetales GX here, and take game 1 of the series. So, like I said, even despite Brian having kind of a slower start there, it's still a really close game. So we'll have to see maybe how game 2 can progress here if both players have a more even start, I guess you could say. And so also too, this is Top Cut, so it does mean this is a best 2 out of 3 series. So there is going to be at least one more game here. Maybe Brian can tie it up and force a game 3. I'm sure that is what he is going to be, you know, looking forward to trying to do here. And also, since this is Top Cut as well, and it's a best 2 out of 3 series, the loser of each game gets to decide who goes first. So no doubt, I would imagine we're going to see Brian go first here. If I just had to guess. And also too, guys, just want to give a quick shout out to all of our patrons and all of our customers at our online store, rarecandytcg.com as well. All the support you guys have been giving us has been fantastic, and if you may have noticed, we got a new playmat specifically made for all of these like recorded tournaments, and we couldn't have done that quite as easily without the help that all of you guys give us on Patreon and our online store. So just a big thanks to everyone who's been helping support this channel. So if you guys want to learn more about how to support this channel, of course, definitely check below down in the description. I'll have a link to our Patreon, patreon.com/rarecandytcg, and of course our merch store at rarecandytcg.com. So definitely check those out if you want to learn about how to support this channel. But here it looks like Brian is going to be taking a mulligan. Definitely not what you want to see, but it's just one extra card. Hopefully that won't be too impactful over there for Alex. We'll have to see. And the big thing he's going to be looking for, I think, is just a proper draw supporter this time. We saw him just have to play that measly Kukui for 2 last game. So we'll see how this hand can stack up. Now, I believe I do see an Execute in his hand, if I did see correctly. See a Netball as well, so he's definitely going to be able to find some basic Pokemon here to start getting set up. And so, let's see, really curious. Alex had a Lele start last time. Okay, but he's going to open with a Zorua, so I'm sure he's much more excited about that than the Lele he had last game as well. So we're going to see Energy Attachment on this Execute and 2 Netballs. Okay. So I'd imagine we'll probably see an Execute. Okay, oh, going for a Shuffle. I forgot about that card as well. That seems good here. And going for a Trico. Alrighty. So no doubt he's going to want to use Shuckle to discard some energy, and here it looks like he's just passing after that. Or actually, I think that might have just been that Mulligan card Alex was supposed to get. I'm not sure there. So let's see, he is going to get down 3 energies into the discard pile, so whenever he evolves into Exeggutor, he will be able to hit for 80 damage, I believe it is. Now, one awkward thing that he has is he has this energy, or this fairy energy on Execute. I almost kind of would have liked to have seen maybe a second Execute come down instead of the Trico, and then just retreat into it to get the fairy energy in the discard pile. I think I would have maybe liked to have seen that. But even if he has to leave this on his Execute, it's not the end of the world, just because whenever it inevitably gets knocked out at some point, it will go into the discard pile as well. So we are going to see a Netball. Okay, so Brian definitely still has that play at his disposal, which will be pretty nice here. And he is eyeing down... Okay. Very interesting. He's eyeing down Trico. I can't say I'm a huge fan of this, but maybe he's thinking he's going to go more aggro Sceptile this game. Interesting. Yeah, I can't say I'm a big fan of this play. Just because now the Shuckle is stranded, and Brian's not going to be able to attack next turn unless he has something like a Guzma. Had he gotten down another Execute instead of this Trico, I think this type of play would have been a lot better, just because he could have retreated into an Execute. You know, he has a Grovyle in hand ready to go for next turn to search out Exeggutor, and he could start attacking and actually take a free knockout on this Zorua, basically. But yeah, so I'll have to see if that comes back to bite him, but I'm just really not a big fan of that play. But Alex, on the other hand, having a very strong first turn, opening up with that Professor Elm's Lecture in hand yet again. So he is getting down Zorua, Vulpix, and Rowlet. I think great choices here. Would have maybe liked to have seen the Zorua be a Ditto, just in case of like a Guzma on this Vulpix. But nevertheless, this is still a fantastic start. And here's going to Ultra Ball away another Elm and a Lele. So yeah, this is definitely heating up to be a really good first turn. Going for another Rowlet. So assuming Alex has a draw supporter in hand, he's going to be in fantastic shape for next turn. And then from there, it looks like just a pass back over to Brian. I believe I saw him draw for turn. Okay, he did. So here he is going to get out Grovyle, okay? So I'd imagine from there we'll see a second Grovyle. Yep. He's chaining those Sunshine Grace abilities back to back here. And getting out his Exeggutor. Now he does have a Guzma in hand, it appears. Okay, so if he does... Yeah, I think that's a Guzma. So if he does actually have a Netball or a way to get a Grass Energy, it actually could be pretty good for him. So we're going to see a Guzma, and I believe that's a Lily hitting the discard with that Ultra Ball. Then he's going to Pal Pad them back into his deck. Okay, that seems pretty decent there. And then just a Cynthia. So wait, did he fail the Ultra Ball? Because we saw him discard the two supporters. So, yeah, I'm not... I think he may have forgotten to actually search off of the Ultra Ball. I think he... Because at the very least, you go for an Oranguru or another Execute. That definitely seems like a misplay if he did. Maybe I'm overlooking something here, but I don't know. But here Brian does have an energy that's going to be good. I think I want to see this come down on Exeggutor here. Yeah, I'm not as big of a fan as getting it down the Shuckle. The only reason is because, well, I guess it's okay because he can hard retreat next turn and get that energy in the discard pile, or if it gets knocked out, then he can get that energy in the discard pile either way. So, yeah, I guess it's okay. I feel like I would have preferred it to come down on the Exeggutor just because he has another in hand. Well, no, this is probably fine. Like I said, he is going to be able to get it into the discard pile either way, so this is, I think, just fine, actually. So let's see how Alex is going to respond this turn. Let's see if he can find himself some energy. That's one thing we have not seen so far from Alex this game. You know, he's been able to search out his Pokemon pretty nicely, and here you can see he's you know, off of that Alolan Ninetales GX, he's grabbing a rare candy and Ultra Ball, so no doubt we're going to start seeing some other Pokemon come into play here as well. So we're going to see an Ultra Ball getting rid of perhaps this other Vulpix in his hand, depending on what else he has to work with. So we're going to see a Rainbow and a Vulpix hit the discard. I don't mind that at all. Looks like he's going to go for a Decidueye. I did not get a good look at his hand, though. I'm curious if he has a draw support. That's going to be the other thing he's going to be looking for. Now, he does have this Zoroark GX, of course, that can draw him some additional cards, but he doesn't have too many cards in his hand to work with off trade. So let's see, he is going to Mysterious Treasure. Or, not Mysterious Treasure, I don't even know why I said that. Field Blower, getting rid of that Shrine of Punishment. And then do Feather Air to get 20 on this Exeggutor. So maybe I would have liked to have seen a Lele from Alex here to grab an actual draw support. Since, you know, he only has a single card in hand here. He didn't even get to attack. So would have maybe have liked to have seen that as opposed to prioritizing the Decidueye this turn. But let's see how Brian is going to respond here. He is going to get down a couple more basics. That seems good, just in case this Exeggutor does get knocked out. And this turn, he will be able to start putting on some pressure. I know last game he was kind of on the receiving end of that, but here he is going to target down this Rowlet, actually, okay? Getting a Shrine of Punishment down, too, and taking a knockout. So pretty good turn from Brian here. That Shrine of Punishment. I'm going to start softening up a lot of these GXs. And you can see how big of a pain those Decidueyes were for him to deal with last game. You know, after, you know, whenever he gets a fresh Exeggutor into play, Alex was able to go 2 Feather Airs and a Riotous Beam to take a clean knockout. And taking out Decidueye will kind of limit those plays a little bit. But the only weird thing is that he has 2 damage counters already on this Exeggutor, so Alex can actually kind of keep this pace up even with just... or, you know, keep a knockout going here with just the single Decidueye. But he does find himself another Rowlet, which is nice. And he does get a double colorless energy, so Alex is bouncing right back from that last turn here. Okay, so we're going to see a tied-up game at this point. We're going to see Brian, looks like he's going for Sunshine Grace. Probably see 2 Exeggutors come into play here. Okay. And from here, just trying to think what Brian really needs. He already did promote this Exeggutor with the energy. Would have been nice to have maybe seen like a Guzma if he had access to something like that, but that is not the case. We're just going to see a Cynthia. I think that's perfectly fine here as well. And let's see. I'm not sure what else he would even really want this turn. If he had Choice Band, that could soften this Zoroark up. But Choice Band doesn't even really matter unless he has Guzma to Guzma up something else. Just because in that type of play, Shrine of Punishment could potentially clean up your knockout for you. But that doesn't appear to be the case. So we'll have to see how Alex can respond here. He does play a couple of healing cards. He, of course, does have that Max Potion we saw get traded away early last game. Also, I believe does have Acerola as well. Okay, but here he's going to go for the Cynthia, so his only real hope here is to go for the Max Potion. If he wants to keep this Zoroark alive, he's going to need a Max Potion and another double colorless energy. So let's see what he can find off this fresh hand of 6. I believe he does still have one other trade at his disposal as well, so he will be able to dig a little bit more if he wants to. But here he's going to evolve. I'm really not sure what he evolved into. That might have been... I believe that's another Zoroark GX. Yeah, because otherwise he would have searched his deck for some items had it been something like a Ninetales. So here it looks like Alex is getting out another Decidueye. So a really strong turn here. That's going to allow him to set up this knockout to knock out this clean Exeggutor. Now unfortunately this Zoroark is going to go down if Brian can find himself in energy here. But, you know, Alex's board is still pretty decent. Even if this Zoroark goes down, he can respond probably with a knockout the following turn, since he is fortunate enough to have both Decidueyes in play. Oh, now one thing he will have to remember is he was supposed to take Shrine of Punishment damage in between turns. Hopefully that's something they do catch here. We'll have to see if they do remember to do that at some point, but they definitely were supposed to take some more damage counters here. Okay, and you can see here, I believe Alex is recognizing he was supposed to take some more damage here. But he's supposed to take it on... Okay, yeah, he's starting to... There we go. I was worried he forgot about his other GXs he had in play. But here Brian is going to actually pull ahead and take a knockout on this Zoroark GX here. So Alex is going to find himself a double colorless energy, trade away this Guzma, find himself another Vulpix to ensure that he can do 120 damage with Riotous Beating. So that, of course, in conjunction with the 2 Feather Arrows from the Decidueye will allow him to take a knockout. Yet again, though, he does need to remember to take that Shrine of Punishment damage here. So Brian's just going to send up the Shuckle. So maybe that tells me he has a Guzma. That could be... That's what I'm assuming is happening here, if that's what he's opting to promote. So let's see what he's going to do this turn. I'm not sure if he has a Guzma in hand, but if he does, that definitely seems like a consideration. We do see an Oranguru in Brian's hand as well, so if he can manage to play down his hand, he does have a couple of Ultra Balls as well. He actually could play down his hand pretty low to instruct for some more cards here. You can see he's a little bit torn as to what he wants to do, but here he's going to evolve into Sceptile, and Sceptile actually could be a pretty good card here at this point in the game. You know, last game Alex had 2 basic energies on Alolan Ninetales, and right now he doesn't in this game. So Sceptile actually could be in a situation to abuse that Mach Cut attack to really start disrupting Alex a little bit here. So let's see. Brian looks really torn as what he wants to do, and here he is going to go in on the Sceptile. I like this here. Now he does have a Choice Band. I almost kind of want to see him play down his hand and get down that Oranguru to draw some more cards here as well. But here it looks like he's just going for the Mach Cut, opting to kind of save what he has in hand right here. So Mach Cut is that attack, of course, on Sceptile for 1 energy to 60, or 90 in the case of this one since it has Choice Band. Then discard the special energy from your opponent's active. And I believe Alex has already gone through 2. Oh, but he has 2 more double colorless energies in his hand ready to go. So that is a little bit unfortunate for Brian that he already has the energies just right there available to him. But nevertheless, the one good thing about this is that he's forced to, you know, commit energy to a damaged Zoroark. Now, this can... Okay, I was literally just about to say where this can backfire for Brian is if Alex can find that Max Potion he had in deck, because now he can heal off all this damage, you know, attach another energy and just keep on going, and now it will be the Sceptile that is going to be knocked out before the Zoroark, and now he's in kind of a weird spot here. So we are going to see... Okay, it looks like Brian forgot his Shrine of Punishment damage. He's just keeping track of that here. Not sure what they're discussing. Okay, they got 2 Feather Arrows down on the Shuckle, and then just a Riotous Beating here on the active for 150. Okay. So let's see how Brian is going to respond this turn. He is taking care of that Shrine of Punishment damage. His Sceptile is going to incur, and Alex looks like he is doing the same here. Here we're going to see an Ultra Ball, getting rid of a Sceptile, the Celestial Storm one. Definitely not a very good one in this matchup. Really good against decks like Blacephalon and Buzzwole, but in this matchup, pretty much a dead card. So here they are going to Ultra Ball this thing away. And probably going to fail it. I really don't know what else he would even want. Here, Brian's going to go for another Ultra Ball after that as well. I just have Ditto in deck, but I can't really afford to bench at this point just because Alex already has the, double Decidueye online. But here he is going to get down that Oranguru and Struck for 3, so being able to refill his hand size a little bit here. Has a Grass Energy, so he actually has some options as to what he wants to do here. So, yeah, this is unfortunate that... It's unfortunate that Zoroark did get Max Potion, because otherwise he could just retreat, take a knockout with Alolan Exeggutor. But it looks like he might be considering going for a Leaf Cyclone this turn if he's opting to attach here. But here it looks like he's actually going to go for the Jungle Heal GX. Okay. So that is going to heal off all of his Pokemon with Grass Energy attached. Now he's still in kind of a weird spot though, just because he's basically just delaying all of this damage by a turn, giving up a prize to these Decidueyes. And yeah, it's just kind of a rough spot for him right now. I think I would have maybe liked to have seen... Yeah, it's just kind of a bad spot. Maybe would have liked to have seen him retreat into Exeggutor. It's kind of hard to say. But here, pretty quick turn from Alex, it appears. Just use Feather Arrow to knock out that Shuckle, and then get some more damage down on this Sceptile. So I think the writing is pretty much on the wall. Brian basically just loses to a Guzma at this point. I'm really not sure what his exit strategy is here. We'll have to see. We do see a Ditto in his hand. Like I said, though, really not a card he can afford to bench right now. So we'll have to see what he does. At the very least, he is going to need an energy to attack with this Alolan Exeggutor here. So we are going to see a retreat. And we are going to see Exeggutor come up. Okay, so that's as expected. Okay, and he has energy and choice points. That's pretty good. Really just needs to make sure that this Sceptile does not get Guzma'd up, but it has 180 damage on it. Sceptile only has 230 HP total, so because of the Shrine of Punishment, it's really just only a matter of time. Ooh, but Brian does have Professor Kukui, so he's actually going to be able to hit for 170, and then the Shrine of Punishment damage in between turns actually knocks out this Zoroark. That's actually pretty big here. So here he is going to go down to just one prize. But unfortunately, I think he's just one turn behind here, because now all Alex has to do is go Feather Arrow twice on that Sceptile, and then he can just win. Because right now it's at 190 damage, and then the 40 damage from the 2 Feather Arrows will knock it out. So unfortunately for Brian, I think the writing is kind of on the wall here. Maybe he shouldn't have gone for the Jungle Heal. Maybe he just should have opted to attack with the Exeggutor sooner. That maybe could have bought him the extra turn or so he needed. Hard to say, though. But we'll have to see what Alex is going to do. Like I said, all he needs to do is go for the 2 Feather Arrows, and he just wins here. He's going to get rid of some more cards here. Enhanced Hammer, definitely a pretty dead card in this matchup. Oh, but he's actually opting to knock out the active. That's... Oh, man, Alex had game there. Oh, but Brian has the Guzma, and he can actually steal this game, too. That is definitely unfortunate for Alex there. Like I said, he had game. All he had to do was put those Feather Arrows on Sceptile, and he would have won. So that is definitely a big blunder on his part there. And Alex did tell me after his top cut match that he made a really bad misplay in game 1. So that must have been the one he was talking about. That would definitely qualify as a misplay if I saw one, so that is unfortunate for Alex, but luckily, like I said, this is a best out of 3 series, so Alex will have a shot at redemption here in this game 3. So, man, that is definitely a little bit of a bummer for him. I'm sure he's got to be kind of feeling a little bit down after that, especially if he realized that he misplayed after the fact so quickly. So, yeah, we'll have to see how this series is going to go. This has actually been a surprisingly pretty back and forth series. I honestly kind of was surprised that Decidueye hasn't been winning more convincingly. I thought on paper that deck would be, you know, a bit better, but Exeggutor's tankiness is really kind of proving its worth here. Shrine of Punishment also setting up knockouts has been nice as well, so we'll have to see how this one is going to go, but hopefully it's at least as close of a game as these past 2 games have been so far. So here, looks like Brian is getting his opening hand. I do see some basics in there. I think he has Shuckle and Execute, from what I can tell. It's hard to say, but I'm pretty sure I did see a Shuckle. So since Alex lost that last one, no doubt he's going to opt to go first here, try to get set up. But here, yeah, Brian has the Shuckle. I guess it was not an Execute in his hand. Here's going to open with Alolan Vulpix. Definitely not a bad starter. Actually, probably your best starter in the whole deck. Maybe even that or Ditto would probably be your best starter. So, and here, yet again, Alex is opening with that Professor Elm's Lecture on the first turn. Hasn't even needed to use Tapu Lele to find it. Just been in his opening hand every time. So, I'm sure Alex is excited about that. You know, the games where you don't get that turn 1 Elm's Lecture typically go a very different direction than if you do have it. So let's see, he is going to get down a Rowlet, probably a Zorua, and maybe even another Rowlet could be good. So yeah, I like that. You know, Alex kind of knows that Brian's deck doesn't really put on a whole lot of pressure on the first turn, so I think he can actually have the luxury of getting the second Rowlet as opposed to a Ditto. I think normally that would be what you would want to do, maybe if you were going second in this situation. But since he is going first, and like I said, Brian's deck is not very aggressive turn 1, he can kind of get a little bit greedy and get that extra Rowlet instead of his stage 1s. But here Brian is going to Ultra Ball. Let's see, he's going to also get down another Shuckle as well. Kind of unfortunate he did have to open with one. You typically would only really ever want one Shuckle in play with this deck. So here Brian is going for an Ultra Ball. It looks like getting Ditto, and this is kind of the only turn he can really afford to get Ditto, so he must be thinking, well, if I ever want to use this card, it needs to be now, because once Alex finds all of these evolutions and Decidueyes, Ditto's not really going to be safe to get put into play, so I definitely like this from Brian here. Now, he will also want to find himself an Execute as well this turn. Just because if Alex does have a crazy hand that allows him to knock out this Ditto and he has no other Pokemon that can evolve into Exeggutor next turn, he's going to be in some trouble. So Brian definitely wants to find himself another Execute, but he runs 4 of those, you know, 4 Netball, I'm pretty sure, you know, 4 Ultra Ball. He has plenty of outs to finding another Execute. And there we see it. We see the Execute there. He does have a Netball, but it looks like he's opting to save it, maybe trying to save that for a Grass Energy so he can attack with the Exeggutor next turn. But here Alex is going to go for Timer Ball. Let's see, he's going to flip 2 coins for each head, so he gets an evolution. That's 1. And 2, that always feels really good. Just, you know, that card effectively at this point reads, search your deck for 2 evolutions, put them in your hand. That's a very, very powerful effect. So let's see, he is going to grab himself a Ninetales and Decidueye, so he is basically guaranteeing himself a 1 Decidueye this turn at the very least. And if he can find himself a second one, that would actually be pretty powerful at taking an easy knockout on this Ditto so quickly. So he is going to evolve into that Ninetales here. Let's see, going for a Rare Candy and an Ultra Ball. Or wait, did he... I almost feel like he just searched his deck for the Rare Candy and Timer Ball with Ninetales. Maybe I wasn't paying close enough attention. But anyways, yeah, for some reason I thought he did that. Maybe he just played them at the same time, and that's why I was thinking that. Not sure. But either way, he is going to, it looked like, go for an Ultra Ball here. I'm assuming finding himself another Decidueye. Yeah, so... yeah, Alex is having a pretty good second turn so far. Unfortunately, this Ninetales is in the active spot right now, and it can't really attack. But this is a really fantastic turn so far. He can take an easy knockout on this Ditto. and basically set it up to where he can always knock out an Alolan Exeggutor as long as he has a full bench and energy for his Zoroarks. And here he has a Tapu Lele as well, so probably going to refresh his hand, I would imagine here. So let's see what he's going to opt to do. If he has a double colorless energy, I actually would like to see Guzma here. Let's see. He is kind of contemplating. You can see he's looking at Guzma. If he has double colorless energy in hand, I would definitely go for the Guzma. If you can take out the Ditto and Execute at the same time, I feel like you just win the game off of that play, but he must not have had the energy in his hand. I think it was just a max potion. So, yeah, going for the Cynthia is definitely preferable. But if he had double colorless energy in hand, that would have been such a ridiculous turn. So at least this means we actually have, I guess, more of a close, fair game this time. Because, like I said, if he'd gotten that, I think he probably would have just won based on that one play alone. So let's see what he can find here. He also could maybe find himself like a switch in double colorless energy. Not sure if he plays switch, but if he does, that would certainly enable him to take a knockout. Here he is going to knock out that Ditto thanks to the Feather Arrow abilities on Decidueye here. And let's see what else. Can he find himself another Zorua? I think that's the other card he really wants here. He's pretty much, you know, got his Ninetales in play. He's already got Decidueye, so he doesn't really need Ninetales anymore. But it looks like that was going to be the end of his turn. Brian's going to start going for a Trico here. And let's see. Going to get down to Choice Band, okay. And just a Cynthia. So he's going to need Exeggutor and a Grass Energy this turn. And actually he needs another Execute as well. I think that's one thing that he really needs because, you know, if Alex has a way to potentially knock out this Exeggutor, he won't have an attack array to go for the next turn. So let's see, what's Brian have here? I believe I see Sceptile GX. He's going to retreat. Huh, interesting. He's going to just promote the Shuckle. I can't say I'm a big fan of this play because, yeah, I really don't think I like that because now this Shuckle is stranded. And you have no way to attack next turn unless you find yourself Guzma, Exeggutor, and an Energy. And now you can even see what Alex can do here. He can actually just kind of snipe around your active stranded Shuckle because now it's going to be at least 2 turns before you can attack with an Exeggutor without the help of something like Guzma. And here it looks like Alex just passed back over to Brian. And let's see, he is going to attach this Metal Energy. And here you can see what I mean. He has to now attach to this Shuckle to try to retreat this one again. He should have just, if he was going to attach to that Shuckle last turn, he should have left it in the active spot, because now he could retreat this turn and attack with Exeggutor. So here he's going to Ultra Ball. Now, of course, he didn't have the energy to do so, but I definitely think that would have been the correct play here. So no doubt, I think we're going to see a Grovyle, and from there we can start to see Brian search out some more Pokemon out of his deck. So we'll probably see an Exeggutor just to prevent this Execute from being knocked out, but okay. He must have the Exeggutor in hand then, otherwise there'd be no reason to get the Execute. So that's definitely good, kind of ensuring that he's keeping his Exeggutors in play for as long as possible here. And we're just going to see a pass from Brian back over to Alex here. So here we are to see another Zoroark come online, I believe that's what that is. So now Alex has just a pretty fantastic board. You know, you basically want 2 Zoroarks and 2 Decidueyes in play at any given time. And here you can see his deck is starting to take off, doing all these different trades. Here he's going to go for Guzma. Okay, so bringing up this Exeggutor, it appears. And then just taking a knockout. So I'm curious, did Alex forget to use Feather? Okay, no, he got it down on the bench to execute. Okay, so yeah, pretty good turn there from Alex. Not a whole lot happened, but just did everything he really just needed. Found energy, took a knockout. So here Brian is getting another Exeggutor up and running here. And I'm just trying to think, this might even be a situation where I kind of like even going for Sceptile GX. And here it looks like Brian is going to go for a Netball, finding himself a Grass Energy to start putting on some pressure of his own here. Yeah, but the reason I kind of like the idea of going for Sceptile is because Alex has no basic energy in play. So if you can kind of capitalize on that and force them to just keep attacking into like a damaged Zoroark that has no energy, that is actually pretty good for you. And here you just find a Shrine of Punishment. So this is actually still a good turn as well. I don't even know if I think the Sceptile play would have been like the quote-unquote like correct play, but just another option he had available to him. I still like this as well. He's, you know, starting to really put on some pressure, that Shrine of Punishment, putting in some work here, and, you know, setting up this Zoroark for the 2-hit knockout here as well. So let's see how Alex can respond. Does he have a Sorola? Okay, he is getting down a Fairy Energy. So this is kind of what I was talking about, though, where if Brian was able to attack with that Zoroark, or, you know, I'm sorry, with the Sceptile instead, you could have actually forced Alex here to attach to, you know, a damaged Pokemon that's going to get knocked out. So now I think going for Sceptile in this game might not be quite as strong at this point. It's really at its best when your opponent doesn't have any basic energies to kind of fall back on or to continue attaching to. So here we are going to see Sunshine Grace finding another Exeggutor here. So what I would like to see him do maybe is even maybe adjust his plan of attack to deal with Ninetales. Like if he can adjust it to where he's attacking Ninetales, trying to get rid of this basic energy from play, and then cleans up with Sceptile. I think that's actually what I would kind of want to see here as like a long-term like game plan from Brian. But nevertheless, he, you know, even though he is basically giving up a knockout every turn, you know, he only gives up one prize at a time, and here he is taking a knockout on this Zoroark. So he is catching up a little bit here. So Alex does need to at least find another double colorless energy this turn. And here it looks like he is remembering those Shrine of Punishment damage counters. Those are definitely going to be very important here for Brian to clean up some knockouts. So let's see. Okay, it looks like he has a Guzma, so it looks like he's starting to go aggro Ninetales, it appears. So I'd imagine we might see a knockout on this Execute. I think that is a potential possibility. That seems good to me here. So, of course, with low Ninetales, it does 70 to the active and then 30 to the bench as well. And, of course, Alex still has his 2 Feather Arrows he can make use of as well. Alrighty, and it looks like Brian is going to promote this Exeggutor here. And one thing I do want to point out, somewhere around this turn or the next turn, I believe time actually got called. And so that was time in the round at some point around here. And basically, if the game does not complete, whoever is ahead on prizes at the end of time will be the winner here. So we'll have to see how that is going to go. And in the case of both players being tied at the end of time, I believe it is next prize wins after that. So here we are going to see Brian take a knockout here, and Alex is going to take that Shrine of Punishment damage. Like I said, I forget what turn time got called on, but I don't believe Alex can win this turn anyway, so we'll have to see what he's going to do here. He's going to get down, looks like... Okay, that's just damage from Shrine of Punishment on Sceptile. But here, Alex can take a knockout on Exeggutor, so that must have been the last turn of time, if I had to guess, because otherwise Alex would just go down to one single prize, so that must have been it. So Alex is going to emerge victorious with his Zoroark, Decidueye, Ninetales deck, going to advance over to top 4. Definitely stay tuned, guys. Like I said, we do have a top 4 match, and of course the finals coming up. Links will be down below in the description whenever those videos go live as well. But as usual, feel free to like and subscribe, and if you can support this channel by becoming a patron over at patreon.com/rarecandytcg, or by picking up some merch from our online store, rarecandytcg.com, it would mean a lot. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.